On your mark. Get ready. It's time to go the distance. For sports news and sports review, get ready. It's The Pitch.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Pitch. As always, I'm your host, John Fox. Now, for this episode, it's going to be a little different. We are not in the studio, as you can see. This is my apartment right now. Currently, all of the United States is pretty much under a quarantine right now. The government has pretty much put us on that quarantine to stop the spread of coronavirus. Very serious, affecting millions and millions of people around the world, probably more than that. So for this episode, we are going to try something new. I will be live chatting, talking to our analyst Mitch Sabbatelli. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure that'll be just fine doing it this way. But yeah, everybody be careful out there as far as corona outbreak. Just make sure you're sanitizing. Make sure you're washing your hands. Don't touch your face. I mean, if you do, make sure you fully sanitize to protect others. Make sure if you are sick right now with corona outbreak, do not go out to pretty much make sure that is not spread anywhere else but your home. So yeah, so we are going to, almost forgot, Happy St. Patrick's Day. This is, it's just craziness throughout the world right now. So Mitch Sabbatelli, how's it going, man? How's it going?
It's going pretty well. I would say this is the worst St. Patrick's Day of all time. But, yeah, I'm going to take this off.
I hear you on that one.
But,
yeah, I think you might be safe in there.
It's definitely been a rough go so far for today. It's been a whirlwind, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, okay. Well, starting with the big news in Patriots Nation, Kyle Van Noy is leaving the Patriots. Just kidding. We don't really care about that, obviously. TB12, the great one, the GOAT, is leaving the Patriots, the New England Patriots, after 20 years. Can you believe that, Mitch?
I honestly can. And I was skeptical as soon as he threw that last pick to Logan Ryan. I was skeptical to see, will he or won't he? I think the initial question was, will he or won't he return? That was debunked right before the Super Bowl when he came back and did that whole Hulu has live sports commercial. And then it was just a matter of, is Bill Belichick and him ever going to have a conversation? Are they ever going to talk and make a deal? I don't think the two, obviously they probably had a couple talks before that whole entire situation. So they might have known the writing was on the wall. You could tell as soon as the Patriots did lose to the Titans, you could tell how he was kind of referring to things in the past and how things were so great. Not, when he says, we'll see what happens in the future. They weren't too sure, but ultimately, I think Brady wanted a fresh start, and I think he's going to get a fresh start. I think it's really important for him to hit that 45 mark for his TB12 method, and I think it's important for Belichick, like he always says, nobody's above anyone, and he'd rather get rid of you a year or two early than a year or two late. Okay, so having said that, is that a reason why a deal with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots did not get done? Yeah, I think the whole thing is, I think Tom Brady ultimately just wanted he wanted to be respected. He wanted to be, his own kind of entity for the Patriots. It's all, like I just said, the Patriots always deal with, it's like, the team's always bigger than the person. People thought this was be an anomaly here with Tom Brady. And I just got a thing right now that Tom Brady's expected to sign with the Buccaneers. So I just got another announcement. He will be going to Tampa, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
Just breaking right now. But I think the whole thing, like I just said, I think Bill Belichick wanted something different. Tampa Bay was willing to offer the house at him. Tom Brady wanted a few things. He wanted to be kind of like the GM on the field. He wanted to control his offense. He wanted weapons. He gets that now with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And, I think Bill Belichick, like I said, he wanted maybe another mobile quarterback, maybe see what he has in Stidham, maybe go out there and maybe look for Jordan Love or potentially, something like a Teddy Bridgewater. I know he might be going to Carolina now.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. Moving forwards, should Patriots fans blame Brady for the departure?
Absolutely not. This man, in my opinion, my first game I ever watched as a Patriots fan, again, one of the biggest, since the 2000 millennium, you got David Ortiz and Tom Brady. That's our Carl Yastrzemski. That's our Larry Bird as millennials. And I think Tom Brady has exemplified what it means to be a Boston teammate. And I think you've never heard of, the only issue you've ever heard about Tom Brady being an issue outside would be the Deflategate thing, and that was more pure jealousy. This guy has actually had 2 Hall of Fame careers, if you can believe that. The first 10 years, it was like, how many championships could he win? They fell into that whole issue with the Giants, and that kind of put him back a smidge. And then as soon as Russell Wilson threw away that pick to Malcolm Butler, he went on to go for another 3 Super Bowls and go to 4. And that would definitely cement him as the greatest quarterback of all time. You cannot fault the guy for wanting a fresh start, and he wanted, I don't think it was the money. It wasn't like he took, Tampa Bay was going to give him more money than the Patriots. I think he wanted to be able to embrace TB12. I think Gisele Bündchen wanted a nice place to stay, either be in Florida or be in California. And I think, the last couple of years, he's taken that pay cut. He's trying to get more weapons. And last year, with the writing what was on the wall, once Gronk left, and the fact that the whole Antonio Brown saga, and then, Mohamed Sanu not working out, I think it was just time for a change on both ends. And it's sad, but definitely don't blame Brady. If you have to blame one side, it's definitely Bill Belichick. But I wouldn't blame him either. We've trusted him in the past.
Yeah.
The only thing he's had an issue with is the Malcolm Butler bunching. I know you have a big issue with that, Fox. Other than that, I think it's Bill we trust. And I will be rooting for Tom as well as Bill.
Yeah, perfect take. Myself, I am clearly not blaming Brady for this. I'm not blaming really anybody because I can see both sides. I can see, obviously, Brady has taken, as you said, pay cut after pay cut after pay cut to put the weapons around him, and he just wanted a commitment. So I see where he is coming from. Obviously, wanting a stable contract and commitment from the Patriots. But then I could see Bill Belichick and his reasoning for not wanting to commit to Brady because he's 43 years old. So,
I think at this juncture, too, that big, like I said, the 45 mark is huge because right now, once Brady does retire, his big thing, he already has his studios in L.A., but for the next 2 years or so, he's going to have another TB12 thing in Tampa Bay, and another, his whole market there, what he has in Boylston Street. And that whole company is longevity and making sure you maximize your potential and extend your career. And I think the main thing that Brady wanted outside of that was respect. And I think that's where Bill, he thought that Bill was going to change, and he's not. It's Bill Belichick. He's not going to put anyone above, and Bill Belichick had some nice things to say about him, but I guess in his way, it's time to move on.
Yeah. I had something to say. I completely forgot. So we're going to move on from that, but great take. How will Patriots fans remember Brady in 20 years?
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that when you have a child, if you have, millennials now, when they, I remember my father talking about, Carl Yastrzemski and Larry Bird. And now when you have a child, if you're wanting somebody to, do that Patriot way, Tom Brady is that guy. He plays when he's injured. Every injury, anything outside the field, he doesn't bring onto the field. There's never any issues with him. He's great in the locker room. I'm not in the locker room, but I can see on the outskirts of how he's always been above everyone as far as just preparation and doing his due diligence to make sure that he can outdo your opponent. One thing that a lot of people don't realize and don't give Brady credit for is how good he can change at the line of scrimmage. He's the smartest guy in the field.
He's got all the answers to the test.
But he will always, bring other people up and be that leader on and off the field. And he's able to maneuver the offense and is able, his ability to get the defensive line to jump and just change the game. And with him, you always have a chance. It doesn't matter it didn't matter what your offense was. You remember that Rashae Caldwell year when you had Rashae Caldwell and Doug Gabriel, they were up 21-3 and got to go to another championship. You remember this year, they still had all those wins.
How do you win with Aaron Dobson and Kembrell Tompkins?
Right. One of the biggest things ever was Scott Zolak when he was on the call when he was talking about the show ponies with the coming back and throwing that pass to Kembrell Tompkins. I think we'll all remember that. I think the 28-3 is going to set the standard for Tom Brady. That pass to Edelman. And I think what is a big thing that nobody ever talks about is how he came back from that ACL. I think before that ACL, he was a little arrogant. I remember when he went up against the Giants and he said, "Oh, you think we're only going to score?"
And that was coming. That's tearing his ACL right after the potential undefeated season and the loss of the Super Bowl.
Most people would be like, "Oh, you know what?
Most people's
careers, but he's dominated since." And
most people's careers are going to be over right there. Call it a day.
Yeah.
He had literally 2 separate careers in his whole career, and we don't know if he's got more left in the tank. I mean, obviously we know he can still play, but at the age of 43, let's just kind of be realistic right now. I know I myself used to say, no, he'll be fine. Oh no, he'll be fine as he got older. But now, last year, I think without Gronk especially, and I mean, he didn't really have a great supporting cast of characters, but even just without Gronk, you could see his performance. He didn't have that big guy, big tight end to go to bail him out of all situations offensively. So I really think that hurt, and I really think that showed his age, kind of. And so realistically, going from here, the only thing he can really do is decline, whether it be really steadily, small. I really think from this point on, it's just like managing the decline. But what were you saying?
Well, I think the thing is, if you go back in all the championships and everything, he's never had a bad defense. I think he's always had a really good defense. If you look back, obviously, I think everyone thinks the 04 team is the epitome of Patriots defense, but even 01, 03, 04, and then even the Falcons defense. Obviously, I really like the Seattle defense when we faced Seattle when we had Brady.
I don't know. I think my stance on Matt Patricia. I thought he was one of the worst defensive coordinators of all time. Every Super Bowl we went to with him, his defense under his coordination literally almost lost the Super Bowl. I mean, the Eagles Super Bowl. I know we benched Malcolm Butler, but do you think you could stop? Do you think you could stop Nick Foles? Excuse me, I almost slipped up right there and swore. Do you think you could stop Nick Foles? Nick Foles from putting up 40+ points on us? I don't think that's a good defensive coordinator.
I mean, there's other things too. If Asante Samuel makes that pick, there's another championship. If Wes Welker makes that catch, there's another championship. If Tom Brady makes that catch or Nick Foles doesn't make that catch, there's another championship. But I will say you can't take the ones away from him that he has had. And a lot of people forget, the reason why Edelman had such a great game last Super Bowl was because Gronk was double teamed. I think you really showed how much this year, without having that second weapon outside of Edelman, how it's going to hurt Edelman. It's going to beat Edelman up, and you're passing guys like Jacoby Myers who can't catch the ball, and then these are the reasons why these people aren't drafted. I think Belichick overlooked that a little bit, and also I think Gronkowski waited a little bit too long before informing the Patriots that he was going to not come back, and then they ended up having the scramble, getting Austin Seferian-Jenkins and Ben Watson. That really hurt them this year. And I also think the defense was a little overrated. If you look at the teams that they faced in the first 6 weeks this year, everyone's pumping them up or they're going to win another championship. Obviously, the Antonio Brown thing really, really faltered them and really put a damper on the whole season after that. But I think Edelman can only do, and Brady, when you see Brady, like I said, he's always the good defense. He's always had a really good pass-catching running back. He's always had a solid offensive line, and he's always had 2 weapons over the middle, and he didn't have that this year. And it's going to be interesting how they use him with, we're going to talk about the Bucs in a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to close out this question, I myself personally will remember Tom Brady in 20 years from now, whatever time. He's timeless. He's the greatest quarterback of all time, greatest quarterback to ever play the game, and I honestly wish him the best wherever he ends up right now, which we're going to talk about. But I'm rooting for him right there. you know, I'm just rooting for him. And it was just a very sad day to wake up. I mean, first of all, we're as New England fans, we're in quarantine as it is. I'm sick myself right now. I think that was probably one of the worst mornings I've had. I mean,
it's been a rough day.
You can say I've had a pretty good life, but if I say that's one of the worst things,
well,
that,
we've been
I
lucky,
wake up
you
to.
know. I mean, this is the first year. You know, people who are, you know, we're 27. This is the first year that I can remember in a while.
Yeah, so we're 27. So since we were literally 7 years old, Tom Brady has been playing for the Patriots.
We've had the best quarterback of all time as our quarterback.
8 years old. But yeah, it's just something, you know, like this is a role model for me. This is somebody I look up to, and you know, I'm just like, you know, I joke. I joke sometimes. I'm like, I used to joke. I'm like, you know what? I can die just as long as I get to see Brady, you know, play out his career with the New England Patriots. Then I wake up this morning and, you know, he's gone. He's announcing to everybody that he's leaving the New England Patriots. So I was like, oh, great. And I'm sick. Probably have corona. I'm kidding. I have a cold. All right, moving on. Where will Tom Brady end up? Okay, Mitch, start us off.
We just got the news. I mean, it's around 6:45 now, and I just got it on my phone. He is going to be a Tampa Bay Buck, which is crazy because a lot of people.
This is solid. What is that source from right now? Because I know everybody's been speculating, but with that huge offer that they're.
Jeff Darlington's been a huge at covering this whole story. He's been right the whole time.
There's absolutely no way that Tom Brady could, you know, pull a 360 and land up with the Raiders. Absolutely none. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people thought, you know, there's speculation. And the writing was on the wall, and people just didn't take it seriously. You know, he sold his house. He moved to New York. You know, he signed that contract where it was the avoidable years so that they couldn't franchise him. He got out of his charity, which was one of the biggest underrated things. He left that charity and gave it to somebody else. And he started moving. You know, now he has the new LA Productions thing. He's trying to move that TB12 things elsewhere. And he's always said, it's always for the team. I'm always for the next championship. And then this year you kind of saw a little bit more angst and a little bit more past tense. And I think that's what the whole thing was. And I think there's a couple reasons there. I think it's the Giselle thing, and I think it's the family. I think he wanted to grow his family up, and he deserves it. You know, he's done everything. I think he's going to go to Tampa Bay. People saw him trying to get schools in Nashville. That didn't happen after Tannehill. You saw him talking to Prudent about the Raiders during the MMA thing. He's
so where are they? Where is his son schooling right now? Where is he gonna like?
I think they're gonna stay in New York.
They're just gonna stay East Coast, and he's just gonna
do what he's gonna do, and then come down to Tampa Bay, and then maybe probably have a vacation house down in Florida, if I had to guess, and continue the TB12 thing. Because it's interesting because his production company is now in LA, the 199 Studios or whatever. And so people thought it was going to be the Chargers. But the Chargers, I guess they think they have something in Tyrod Taylor. But Bruce Arians even said it right when the thing came. They even said, would you get rid of Winston for Brady? And he said, you know, if you're talking about Tom Brady, you can't rule anything out. So he wasn't really tampering, but he wasn't ever saying that he wasn't going for it. So they were adamant. They were going to he wanted a couple things. He wanted the control of the offense. He wanted control of being kind of the GM of the offense. He wanted respect, and I think the money was like fourth there, and weapons, and that Tampa Bay gave him all of that.
Yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on him going to Tampa Bay? Like, how do you think that will pan out for the team? Like, obviously they have the offensive talent there, but defensively they're not good.
When you're getting rid of the defensive player of the year and Jameis Winston with the most picks and those kind of numbers with those receivers, I think Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and not to put a fantasy spin on it, they're going to have years and a half. I think O.J. Howard is going to get a big ball.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get. I think they're going to get another running back there, and I think they're going to boost on the defensive front. They have a decent offensive line too right now, and Bruce Arians is a really good coach. People remember him in Indy. Really good coach. Got a good head on his shoulder. I think he's really good offensive-minded coach, and I think it's going to work over there. And, you know, I think Brady, he's going to listen to Brady, but Brady can also listen to him. So I think he didn't want to go over to the Chargers with, Lynn, who has the number 1, or he didn't want to go over the Raiders, who are just moving to a new franchise, don't have that stability. I think Tampa Bay, people forget they were a powerhouse in the early 2000s, and now just because they haven't had a quarterback, that's the reason. Now they have that quarterback. I think he moved there more for the destination and to move it. He wanted to
grow
get out
the
of
brand.
the AFC.
To grow the TB12 brand.
And also to get out of the AFC, then, okay, I'm going to win in Tampa Bay, because it is going to be tough. But I think the NFC is actually worse than the AFC now.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Mitch. Final topic, sticking with this whole Tom Brady departure right now, is Buffalo. Are the Buffalo Bills now the favorite to win the AFC East?
First, are we up against it as far as this is the last topic in the show, or we got more going on?
No, this is the last topic. We're running kind of tight on time right now, but this is the last topic in the Tom Brady departure.
I think right now, now with the new format where there's an extra team making the playoffs and there's 17 weeks that's going through with the CBA, I think both Buffalo and New England could possibly get in there. Right now, I think Buffalo definitely is better on paper, and I love Sean McDermott. I think he's a great coach. I think Josh Allen, I think he has all the tools, and as years go by,
they just got Stephon Diggs.
So. And they have Stephon Diggs now, and they have John Brown, and I like what they're doing there. I think Singletary is going to be a good running back, and they have a great defense. So I think it's tied right now. You can't really count out Bill Belichick, but I think this is going to really show, is Bill Belichick the greatest coach of all time? Because I always said that it was close, but I think I'm leaning more towards Brady, but this could change right now.
I mean, okay. I think we should just stay in the topic of NFL and the Tom Brady departure right now, because we're running, tight on time right now. We were going to talk about the Celtics and Bruins seasons and the suspension of all NHL, all NBA, pretty much every sport right now because of coronavirus, to stop the spread of coronavirus. It's just craziness to think that this is happening right now. But we'll stay with the Tom Brady departure.
There's a pandemic, and the top story is some guy playing.
Yeah, I know.
Right now, But
I know, right? But with Tom Brady leaving, here's the big thing we haven't really addressed so far. Here's just the big thing we haven't addressed. Do you think the Patriots are going to stick with Jarrett Stidham?
Or do you think they're going to try and
Bill Belichick, I think last year they didn't really have a plan with Rob Gronkowski. I think he kind of left them in the dust. There's no way that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady just never talked to each other. I think there is some kind of a plan there. Jarrett Stidham, they do like Jarrett Stidham, but I do think they're going to, maybe they go out there and try to get Taysom Hill, who I know just got tags. I love Taysom Hill. I really do not like Andy Dalton, but I feel like Andy Dalton has won games with weapons. So if Belichick does try to get more weapons around there, maybe Andy Dalton's a fit. But if we
get in,
Stidham at that point. But I love this kid, Jordan Love. I think he's going to be the steal of the draft this year. I would love to see them go up and get him, but I doubt that will happen.
Well, if we get Andy Dalton, we'll be losing that first playoff game immediately.
Yeah, if we get there.
You can chalk that up.
I mean, I think we would get there.
Yeah.
I honestly think we would get there with Bill's coaching. Who knows? We might even add. We're going to have to trade for somebody.
Well, I just lost Jamie Collins and Kyle Van Noy too. Another huge, the boogeyman defense. It didn't really work out, but I mean, that secondary is still really good. And hope maybe N'Keal Harry. There's a really good wide receiver draft class coming up this year, so I think they're going to get a couple wide receivers. And there's not too much left out there in the free agency market with Hunter Henry and everybody gone now too. So right now it remains to be seen, but I think Belichick definitely. It's not like he doesn't have a plan here.
If you had a choice, Mitch, who would you have for who would you get for the Patriots
quarterback?
Good question. I don't know if I would do a first round pick, but you always I would love to have Taysom Hill. I think he's like a Tim Tebow that can play in the NFL. I think he can run, he can do it all. He's really the Bill Belichick type player, and I think before they slapped that first round tender, he would have definitely been a second option if Brady did leave. And I think he's still going to try to look at Taysom Hill and see what they got, because I know Breeze just signed the 2 years. I know Teddy Bridgewater went to Carolina now. I don't want Cam Newton. It would just be strange. I don't want Andy Dalton. Mariota's gone. So I would either roll with Stidham and get like a backup like an Andy Dalton or AJ McCarron, but I don't want Andy Dalton to start. Or I would go and get Taysom Hill. I love Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
at this point, if they were to get Dalton, I would have him be the backup and see what we can get out of Stidham in the first few games. You know, realistically thinking about it. I mean, because how old is Stidham?
I mean, he's new. He's a second year, so what? 2021, 22.
Yeah. So how old is Dalton?
He's got to be 30 now.
Decent
Dalton.
Thing,
yeah, they might do that thing. You know how all those teams do, where they bring in the veteran, and if they lose a couple games, then you're like, all right, listen, we'll bring in Stidham. But I mean, unless they think that Stidham's really, really ready, I would draft another guy too.
We get Dalton. The Patriots get Dalton, and then AJ Green's like, "Oh, I'm coming to the Patriots."
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you know, it does add more intrigue. The one thing with Brady coming back is, you know, he looked a little depressed last year, and it would be kind of a little dry going in. Now it's just, I mean, it's an open book. We don't know, so it's a lot more intrigue in that aspect. But we'll see. I think they should definitely get a mobile quarterback, though.
Yeah,
I don't want like a Phillip Rivers who might be going to Indy now.
I think Phillip Rivers just signed a 1-year deal with Indy. I've been also hearing rumors that Cam Newton's going to go to the Chargers.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that's good.
That seems very Cam Newton-ish, like to just go to a, you know, kind of crap team. I mean, they're not like, they're just like a decent, like. They're good defensively, but I mean they have some offensive pieces, but
you can't ever say that a player isn't overrated if they can never get to one Super Bowl in 20 years. You know, if you're a quarterback and you're that good of a quarterback, you should be able to catapult one of your teams, and especially that loaded team with Gates and Tomlinson, Brady. Yeah. One of those teams should have got the Super Bowl, and they never did. I think Phillip Rivers, he has a lot of talent, but he's kind of like a Matthew Stafford, where it's just never going to work out.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Great take, bitch.
And with that will conclude this episode of The Pitch. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you for staying home and quarantining. Yes, put the mask back on. It's it. Yeah. Okay. All right. But with that concludes. You got to joke around. Especially in a nationwide pandemic. So. With that concludes this episode of The Pitch. We tried it out. It worked. It was pretty good. So just remember, everybody, be safe out there. If you're sick,
quarantine,
just
stay home, wash your hands, sanitize, and stop this coronavirus. Stop COVID-19. That's the hashtag line of this episode. Until next time, everybody, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything we have. We don't have MySpace anymore, so
we should.
Until next time.
I wish I could do the Mitch flip. Oh, wait a second. He's got it. Oh, good one. All right, take it easy, guys.